Hi guys, Debbie Dubois here. Welcome back to my channel, True Sacred Union. This is my Twin Flame series, and if you haven't caught any of my videos to this point, you might want to go back and at least check out the first video, which is the introduction. Other than that, it's pretty much mix and match in whatever way you feel drawn, because different people have different circumstances. They're in different points in their connection, and I'm just creating videos to try to help you through this path. I did not plan to do videos today, hence my hair being up in a bun. But, sometimes your greatest inspiration comes when you least expect it, and that is what I go with. I go with what my heart tells me what to do. So, we're going to talk about rejection and abandonment. And this is something that every single twin flame I've ever talked to, anyone on this catalytic heart awakening process has had to go through. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means and how we can get through it. Okay, how do we cope with it? Part of this connection for most people is when there is the connection between the two of you, or you first see that person. You have the sensation of your heart exploding wide open, and you feel things that you've never felt before. Now, if you are in connection with this person and you experience it with that person, you can darn well bet that you are going to be tested in how your programming is in your DNA about being rejected and abandoned. Okay, because it is one of the biggest fear factors that we have here on the planet, is to be cut off from the whole, to be left behind. And I honestly believe that comes from our separation from source. When we join this game of life, we go back to the source, and we cut ourselves off from source, right? The knowing all that is. And we've jumped into this planet where we are seemingly such separate people. So there is an underlying fear in each and every human being of being separate and alone. But the twin flame connection, its purpose, and it's by design to push those buttons and force you to deal with something that could be in the very, very back recesses of your mind that you don't even know is there. And existentially, everyone has this fear. So the catalytic heart awakening, part of what seems to be characteristic of it, is that there's going to be someone running away. And if one doesn't run away, then the other runs away. There's always some running and chasing going on, right? Well, what this does is this tests you in your ability to dive deep into rejection and abandonment, all right? It also, oh my gosh, there's so many ways this plays into the connection, because it also has to do with what stories are you telling yourself about what you're perceiving. And what it always boils down to is that we have a fear of rejection and abandonment, which is playing itself out in this other person that really means something to us. Because let's face it, if the person didn't really mean that much to us, it would never spark fears of abandonment. So that is why this is such a critical part of the catalytic heart awakening. So now that we've determined that it's actually a problem, which I'm sure is like of no surprise to you, what are some of the ways that the higher self works with us in order to shift this? Because this is the objective. In order to go from this old, I want to say codependent kind of relationship and move it into one where both people that are participating in a relationship have some sense of true self and security and all of that within themselves, you have to get from one place to the other. So, we reflect upon this right now and say that first off, we have to learn how to let go when we're triggered in that space, and how to let go and provide the love inside of ourselves that we feel that we have been deprived of. So I can tell you that from my own personal experience, I did a lot of this. I love you, Debbie. I love you and I'm there for you, Debbie. And I will always be there for you, Debbie. I had to do that to myself many, many, many times, experiencing some significant feelings of abandonment and fear. And let's face it, it started triggering all kinds of abandonment issues that I had in all my relationships. It started to help me dig into circumstances where I felt I had been sort of left holding the bag and had to clean up everybody else's messes. And the universe just has this beautiful way of taking you through this step by step by step process to learn how to love yourself. The most important part of this, and this is really the point of this whole video, is if you do not acknowledge this fear and face this fear, you end up getting kind of stuck because you're always going to be looking for outside yourself in order to feel okay inside. And I'd like to say that there's very specific lessons in how you cope. But honestly, your higher self has this whole path planned out for you. Every experience you have is to heal you of this fear and this abandonment issue and this fear of rejection. All right. And so the biggest answer to this question of how do you handle rejection and abandonment is to trust the process, to open yourself up to your higher connection. In other words, to ask, what do I need to know right now? What is the next thing you'd like me to see right now that's going to help me move past this? You're going to be led to a video. You're going to be led in a conversation to someone. You're going to have insights that come to you in moments of stillness. Rejection and abandonment is probably one of the biggest issues, and it's probably, if I think about it, the root of this path and its transformation, because that person running away from you or maybe not returning the feelings on a 3D conscious level or whatever it is makes you dive so deep that you cannot help. It's almost like you'll go to a place of bottom of the barrel and there's no place else to go but up from there. So when you go to those spaces, the absolute most important thing to do is to call upon your higher connection to help you move out of it, to guide you to those people, those places, those circumstances that will show you that you really are connected. Because the illusion is that you're separate from your creator. The illusion in this connection is that you're separate from that person. The illusion in all of the whole matrix and game system here is that you're separate from everybody else. The truth is we are all intricately connected, and we could not be separate if we really tried. We can fool ourselves into thinking that we're separate. We can, tell ourselves all kinds of stories. It's almost part of the fun of the game. It's kind of like why we came. It's like, oh, let's look at this world where it's actually possible to be separate from God. It's actually possible to be separate from my brothers and sisters, my oneness of being. It's actually possible. The truth is it isn't. It is not possible. There is no way on God's green earth or anywhere else in existence that you are alone or could ever be alone. And this path teaches you that through the connections of other people that you meet that are traveling that path with you. Or it could be just in those deep, dark moments where you go to the bottom of the barrel and you cry out that loneliness and you experience that fear of rejection or have experienced the rejection. It is in all of those magical moments that you learn that you can't be separate from another if you tried. And therein lies the key to discovering what you're meant to discover on this path. You are not alone. You've never been alone, and you are not separate from that person that you care so much about. So I hope that helped. I've got a couple more videos coming because I am just so inspired with a lot of insight today. I will say goodbye on this video, and until next time, namaste.